All right, guys, we are back with another week of Movie Mainline. This is my fake voice to sound actually really excited about things. I apologize. My voice is an octave higher. Is that correct, Bruce? The term octave higher. I believe I'm trying to go higher on this, and we're trying to go higher with our movie picks this week. Another episode of Movie Mainline. This is episode number 1. We went with Patient Zero last week. We are at episode number 1. I am nobody, but that is Luis Lacau that you're seeing. Podmaster, Pod General, Cinematic, Amazing. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean Cinematic General. Cinematic General. And then there's Bruce Purkey over there on my, I feel like this is Hollywood Squares. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm doing a horrible disservice to you guys, but that is Bruce Purkey, and he is quite the master. He loves Giallo cinema. Giallo? Is that it? Giallo cinema? He loves all kinds of cinema.
Giallo?
And there is Giallo. He loves all kinds of cinema. Okay? He's an amazing human being. And then there is Eric Holmes. He has the driest wit I've ever seen, and he is quite a knowledgeable human being. And that is, and I live in their shadow, and I'm excited about their own movie picks. So our main goal every week is to give you guys at least 10 to 12 interesting movies for you guys to watch during the week. And hopefully by the end of your week, if you see a couple of good movies or bad movies, I want all of you to get back to us and tell us what you think of our respective picks. So any of you guys want to just talk about anything? Because the verbal diarrhea can continue for about 2 hours. So I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to yield the floor to someone. I'm going to yield the floor to Luis.
All right, guys. So I actually got an interesting one that's actually streaming on Tubi and Pluto. It is Open Your Eyes, or Abre tus ojos, which is the Penelope Cruz movie. If you ever saw Vanilla Sky, this is the original version of Vanilla Sky with Penelope Cruz, the same actress that played in it.
Can I say something, Luis, before you start? I don't know Spanish, but did you say abre tus ojos?
Abre tus ojos, yes.
Oh, I didn't know. I always thought it was abre los ojos. So it's abre tus ojos?
Yes.
Abre tus ojos. Okay.
And what do you call it? It is an interesting psychological thriller that really goes into, I think it goes into the mindset of somebody that's going through post-traumatic stress, and it goes really in depth on somebody that actually has gone through a bad breakup and what goes through the mind of that person. A lot of it is done through basic narrative, but I think it does a great job of giving you that extra layer as well that you could look into and discuss further. So if you like those kind of psychological thrillers type of thing, this is definitely one that you have to watch. Tubi has commercials, but it's still worth it. Tubi does a really good job. I don't know if any of you guys have seen any movies through Tubi. They put the commercials pretty good spots. So they don't put it like in the middle of a...
And they're not that long.
Yeah. They're really
pretty short.
Yeah.
I usually get my food through tubes, but not movies.
Joke number 1.
Don't worry, it's getting there.
I wish I could tell such good jokes as Mr. Holmes, Mr. Eric Holmes.
You need to have a little bell that goes off every time there's a joke.
We need sound effects.
Ding.
Whenever Eric throws in a joke, we're going to have another Fiddlesticks joke at the end, folks. A little spoiler for you guys. I'm just force feed the Fiddlesticks. But, it's directed by Alejandro Amenábar.
Yes.
Luis. And my question to you is, okay, abre tus ojos, okay? Or los ojos? I don't know.
Yeah.
Abre, did Cameron Crowe do a good job with Vanilla Sky with the original material, or was it a pale imitation of Amenábar's original?
I think he was trying to play homage to it, but he also Americanized it. I think he did a good job Americanizing it because an American audience wouldn't understand a lot of the little nuances that happen in Spain. And I don't know, Bruce, you've seen it, right?
I have. It's been a long time, but I remember liking it a lot better than Vanilla Sky. For my personal taste. Yeah.
It's a little drier, the Vanilla Sky one.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that momentum that Abre tus ojos has. And you just have to get over the Tom Cruise factor. And for me, Tom Cruise just dominates everything he's in, And in the original one, it's like Penelope Cruz is really the shining star, to me. True. Very true.
Yeah, I
Rick,
remember.
have you ever
I've
seen it?
never seen this movie.
Never.
No, I've only seen. I've interviewed Alejandro Amenabar and Penelope Cruz. I interviewed Amenabar years ago for this film he did that I loved, called The Sea Inside with Javier Bardem.
That is
Okay,
good.
and yeah, I'm sorry, you loved that movie?
Yeah. I thought it was good.
It's a great film, guys. Eric and Bruce. I don't know if you've seen the Sea Inside, but
Very
it's
slow
probably
paced.
very slow paced, but
Extremely slow paced.
very inspiring. Probably one of Javier Bardem's best films. I think best performances. And even back in the day, Amenabar, I thought he was going to, because Alejandro Amenabar, I just realized this, Amenabar directed The Others, which stars Nicole Kidman. And I don't know if you guys love The Others. Has one of the, Eric, have you ever seen The Others? With Nicole Kidman, Eric, have you seen?
Not a big fan of that one. Yeah, I saw that when it came out in theaters.
Okay.
I was not a big fan of it.
Not a big fan of the ending? The ending, Eric? The ending?
No, actually, the ending is what made me not a big fan of the movies. I was like, oh, there goes the whole time? This is fucking bullshit. I just saw The Sixth Sense.
Hey, man, that's an 18-year spoiler, Eric, or 20-year spoiler. I don't know. Do we allow 18? Oh, Bruce is shaking his head. I'm gonna say we're gonna let it the statute of limitations on the spoiler for The Others.
10 years. 10 years is the statute.
Okay, Eric just threw out a spoiler.
And people not seen the. You guys are coming here mainlining movies, and you haven't seen The Others.
I know, right?
I think the problem.
Can I?
It's a one-time watch, and then after that, you're done because it's spoiled. That's it. There's nothing that keeps you coming back for more.
Okay. In that case, yeah, cut that part out. Just go back and just boop. Just throw them.
I'm kidding. Yeah. Okay, so your first pick is Abre. Do you want to do another pick, or should we move to someone else? What do you think, guys?
Somebody else.
How about you, Bruce Purkey? Give us a pick.
I am going to start with actually, I think I'm going to start with one I just reviewed, and that's Time to Hunt on Netflix. Netflix original South Korean action heist movie. And I know that Eric's a fan of heist movies. And it's from this year, is what I can tell. And it has it's basically the basic story of you got three young friends. They're kind of like low-level thug kind of guys, but they're not really very hardcore. And the one friend has just got out of prison for like 3 years, and they kind of want to do that final job to get the money that they need, and then they're out, that whole kind of thing. But of course, they decide to rob a gangland illegal gambling casino, which leads to no good, as you might imagine. So from that point on, like about a third into the movie, these guys are basically on the run from this guy who is kind of their hired enforcer. And this guy it's very much the second 2/3 of the movie, to me, was very much like the original Terminator, even though he's not a machine, but he is like relentless and actually even kind of toying with them. And it's a lot of fun if you like action movies and heist movies, and it's got a lot of style to it. And like I said in my review, I think it falls apart a little bit at the end, but not enough to destroy it. And it's a good watch, especially for something on Netflix. One of the guys in there, one of the three friends, is Woo Sik Choi, who you might know as the younger kid, or the kid that first goes into the house in Parasite.
Oh.
And he's also in Train to Busan. So he's obviously getting himself out there.
Wow.
So that is Time to Hunt.
Time to Hunt. Did you guys hear maybe several weeks ago that they're thinking of remaking Train to Busan for stateside? They're remaking that freaking movie. Well, I mean,
that movie's fucking amazing by itself. They should not touch that. That's like Old Boy all over again.
Yep.
They're about to release the Peninsula, right? The sequel. Peninsula.
Oh, right. They're doing a sequel to that, but I'm just a little bit heartbroken about the original. Eric, you were saying something.
I think they've said everything that they needed to say with zombies and trains in the original Train to Busan. I can't imagine that it's like, now we're going to blow the lid off this and get into the nitty gritty zombies on trains.
Yeah.
I love Train to Busan, but I don't understand. I don't understand how a remake would.
Or
There's nothing more to say about it. They said it in the movie, so just watch that one.
they need to leave sleeping dogs lie. Like just let it be, man. Let the movie be on its own. It's the same thing that they did with 28 Days Later. That the first one, it was amazing, and then you go to the second one, and you're like, what? Really? Did we really need that?
Yeah, when sleeping dogs lie, just stay.
Yeah, time to hunt. Time to hunt, Bruce. Is it when it's violent? Is it violent where you avert your eyes from the screen, or not as much as?
No, I mean it's mostly like gun type of violence and stuff. It's not, but it's very tense. He does a really good job of ramping up the tension and putting them in some interesting set pieces where you're wondering how, if they're going to get out of it, and so on and so forth. And they do a really good job of setting up the friendship of the characters. And one of the biggest factors I liked about it was these three guys are in way over their head, like right out of the gate. So when they're going in to do the heist in the first place, you're like, oh my God, what are these guys thinking? And even when they're in there, some of the thugs that are inside the casino are like, you don't even know what you're doing. And you just know that this is this is going to be trouble for them. So that makes it for me a lot more fun than if it was like, hard-boiled guys going after hard-boiled guys. So.
Yeah, cool. Eric Holmes, what is your first pick so far?
I didn't see shit. I don't even like movies. Let's see.
It's a ruse. I'm trying to come up with big words today.
It's a bruise.
Yeah, and I'm trying to pick which one to go for. Well, we're talking about remakes, so I'll go with Last Man on Earth. The Vincent Price movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on my favorite book of all time, I Am Legend. And of the movies that they've made about I Am Legend, this is the one that gets closest, but it's still not great. I think my biggest issue with Last Man on Earth is the pacing, because it just goes way too fast. And a lot of the book I Am Legend has to do with his faculties slowly breaking down and him going insane. And the movie goes a little too quick to really sell that. But if you can't bring yourself to read a book and you don't want to give yourself the gift of reading I Am Legend, you can watch I Am Legend. And the closest you're going to get is The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price.
Wow. Is Vincent
Are you going to
Price...
tell me that Omega Man isn't the best one? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. No. The Will Smith one.
Charlton Heston and hippie zombies? Come on now.
Well, I mean, the weird thing is, on their own, as movies, they might be good. I read the book, and then I saw all three of the movies I saw after I read the book.
Okay.
So
that's the problem. That's the problem right there.
But, dude, that book is so fucking good. It's so good. Oh,
now,
man.
Eric, am I remembering this correctly? The version, The Last Man on Earth, a lot of people consider that like inspirational for Night of the Living Dead, right?
No, that's the book I Am Legend was the inspiration.
Well, no, I know, but people say that the film version, The Last Man on Earth, was pretty inspirational, I thought, for the original Night of the Living Dead, just kind of the way it was done.
Oh,
I don't know. The has nothing to do with that, but the only weird thing about Last Man on Earth is that the movie itself is in the public domain, but the book is not. So, go figure that one out.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So you could do a movie about I Am Legend, but you have to call it The Last Man on Earth, and you can't call him Robert Neville. You have to call him Robert Morgan because that's his name in the. I wish I knew more about public domain. That just seems weird to me, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The movie, the book is not public domain, but the movie that is based on the book is. So you could do a remake of the movie, but the movie's based on I don't know.
But it has to be very similar to that movie, because if it's too similar,
the movie's kind of similar to the book, though. That's where you get wonky. And I don't quite understand how that would work. I'm not a lawyer, but
it would probably have to be the exact names from that movie to translate over.
Well, some of the names from the movie are the same names from the book too, just not the main character.
You were saying something about the Will Smith version? Eric?
Oh yeah, the beginning of it kind of it kind of gets the tone of the book, and then it just shits the bed on the last half of it. First of all, it's very important that in the story, it's very important that the vampires in the story are intelligent. At least somewhat intelligent. In the Will Smith movie, they're just dumb zombies, and they're basically animals. And once you get to the end of the book, you'll understand why that doesn't quite track. Because I'll have to spoil it, and I don't want to. I know I spoiled the others, but I got my one for the day. I'm not going to do another one.
Okay. So The Last Man on Earth, was that a physical media pick? I'm sorry, streaming?
Oh no, it's I saw it on YouTube. It's public domain. You can find it probably anywhere.
Yeah, Vimeo or YouTube.
In fact, I believe if you want to, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but if you wanted to record it yourself, put it on Blu-ray and sell it on the street corner, you could probably legally do that since it is public domain. I think that's how that works.
That is true. That is actually true. So I have a pick. It's for May 1st. It's on digital. Let me see here. It's released on VOD and digital May 1st. It's called Bull. Bull. I talked about it previously on something else that I do, but it's a very, 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 very amazing film. Great film. It's a drama set in Houston, and it centers on the relationship between a former bull rider played by Rob Morgan, and his body's broken down. He's probably mid to late 50s. He's just a sad man, and he's trying to make money on the rodeo circuit. But the problem is, there's a 14-year-old girl. She actually ransacks his place, steals stuff, messes up his home. Okay, and instead of actually putting her in jail and reading her the riot act and letting the police take her, he works a deal with the grandmother of the teenager played by Amber Havard. She plays this girl named Chris. She ends up not going to jail and actually starts working for the man. His name's Abe. So the rest of the movie centers on the relationship between Abe and Chris, and that's really the entire film. And it sounds absolutely boring, but the way the director Annie Silverstein frames she frames it like a documentary. Amber is not an experienced actress. This is her first role, big role, and it's just a really naturalistic look at this really unlikely friendship between two people from just opposite parts of life. And it does a good job
with the role.
Oh yeah, and it's not this weepy, sentimental, feel good type of film. The ending is perfect in my book, not like the ending of the others, which you don't like too much, Eric, which I thought was brilliant. But maybe I'm thinking about but maybe it was a cop out. I'm trying to think of I'm thinking about, was the ending of the others really good? But I think the ending of Bull is fantastic. It's just very graceful. This whole movie is excellent, and it sucks because now we can't really watch movies in theaters. These are the type of films that actually deserve some kind of indie release on a small theater, get word of mouth, give the director a little bit of scratch, a little bit of some money to help her in her efforts. And I hope this movie gets a little bit more of a spotlight. Rob Morgan, I don't know if you guys have seen a lot of his stuff. He's I think he was in either Daredevil or The Punisher, but he was in Just Mercy. He's excellent in that.
Yeah.
And Bruce, we were talking about this. You saw him in last year in Last Black Man in San Francisco. You saw him in.
I think he's the dad in that. He has a couple scenes, but the scenes he's in, he's really memorable. But I can't remember seeing him in a lot of other things. But from what you said, it sounds like he's someone that we should keep an eye on.
Yeah, this is one of those slow burn type dramas. If you like slow burn dramas and are really invested in the lead characters, this movie, even though it's 112, 113 minutes, I usually like movies that are 80 minutes or 90 minutes. But this movie for me, it really was worth the watch. So that's
want to just cheat your way to that 500. Try to get the lowest.
I'm lucky if I get to 250 right now because I'm spending all my time with you guys and this other guy named Cowan. So
I saw 5 commercials. Those are short films, right?
Yeah. That's right.
They do count. They do count. Yeah. So that's my pick of this week. I have a couple more picks. Now we're gonna Luis, what's your second pick?
All right, so the next one, it's actually a Netflix documentary. It's called It Takes a Lunatic. And this is actually the guy that created the American Place Theater, Win Hanman. And it was basically the actor's studio before the actor's studio. And this guy does a phenomenal job. The documentary does a really good job of actually giving you the full story of not only the character, but also like the creation of the American theater. And it's very fascinating because they throw in a lot of Alec Baldwin comes on, Michael Douglas comes on, Richard Gere, John Leguizamo comes on, James Caan, I mean, Chris Cooper. It's like a full array of people that were mentored by this man. And they talk about how he actually got involved in theater when he was basically this nobody in New York. And he decided, you know what, screw it. I'm going to put together a theater and try to run something that is not just in it for the money. It wasn't box office based. It was actually based on subscription or membership base.
Right.
The theater. That way they didn't have to tailor their productions to any one person. They actually brought the first African-American play out, and the first written by African-American play out to off-Broadway. And the documentary is very fascinating, especially if you're into theater or film production, because it really goes into the nitty-gritty of that world. And I think it does a good job of giving you full story of this person.
Now, is it a talking head documentary with all these people, or is it because of its theater? Is it still exciting to watch? That's what I'm saying.
It is because they're characters. Every single one of them are characters, and there's a lot of footage from back then of him actually mentoring the people on stage and everything. So they put that in, and it's talking heads, that footage, and modern footage of them talking about him and him talking about what he wanted to do, what he was trying to do, and all that.
So It Takes a Lunatic on Netflix.
Yeah.
Before we go to Bruce, give us one more, Luis.
The other one that I wanted to bring up is actually Apocalypto, which is on Amazon Prime.
Oh, wow! We just mentioned that.
We saved it.
Mm-hmm. We're actually listening to each other's recommendations, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, I've been dying for this movie to come on streaming, because it's been forever, if it ever was. I don't know if anybody seen it before on streaming.
No,
right?
I mean,
but oh my God, this is a fun one. And this is Mel Gibson basically going to what Mel Gibson is supposed to be doing. Just let the man do movies like this.
You were mentioning that last week, right, Eric, about Apocalypto?
Oh, yeah, I compared it to the Iceman, Dear Man, Not Some Ice, kind of Apocalypto and Revenant.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was one that previously wasn't streaming, so that's cool that it is now.
And I think it was William actually brought it up on our group that it was streaming, and I was like, ooh, I got to go watch this. So I went and watched it, and I was like, yes. I think
that the streaming gods were listening to our episode 0, and they're like, "Oh, I did not know that slipped through my fingers. Get on Apocalypto."
And I could be wrong, Eric, but you prefer Apocalypto to The Revenant? Maybe?
No. I was just comparing the Iceman to the two, because Iceman's kind of like both movies kind of smashed together.
Now, Luis, would you pick Apocalypto or The Revenant if someone would say, I want to watch one movie tonight?
It depends on your mood, because if it's midday and you're wide awake, watch Apocalypto. Apocalypto is one of those movies that it has that ASMR feel to it that it will make you fall asleep if you're like tired. So, but The Revenant won't. It'll keep you awake because of the music, because of the atmosphere and all that stuff. Apocalypto is a slow movie. It's a slow burn.
Got it. Yeah, and The Revenant is all about revenge. So you're excited the whole way. At least I am, because I'm a bloodthirsty human being. Speaking of bloodthirsty human beings, Bruce, Purkey, couple of I'm horrible at transitions. Bruce, couple movie picks.
All right. I will also give a Netflix documentary, and I kind of hinted to this last week, and I've done a review of this one as well, and that's Circus of Books. I don't know if any of you have caught up to that yet.
You love
that
this
just
one.
dropped, I think, last week. Yeah, I love this one. It's about Barry and Karen Mason, and I really love it. So it's weird little things about it. Like the very beginning, the husband of the duo, he starts out and he's working as a special effects person on the original Star Trek series and on 2001: A Space Odyssey. He leaves that. He invents some medical device that goes up in flames, and then he ends up teaming up with his wife, who has been a well-established reporter, and they both go in and buy a bookstore in LA. And it just so happens that they buy, it's called Book Circus at the time. And they take the words and they literally flip them around and they call it Circus of Books. And it is at that point, and for like the next 35, 40 years, it's like the most important, influential, hardcore, gay porn bookstore in pretty much the world, if not at least USA. And that's just the beginning of the story. And of course, this whole time, they are a conservative, heterosexual, Jewish couple with a family.
Wow.
And they don't tell anybody if they can help it. Their kids tell everybody that they just have a bookstore. And it goes into everything. I mean, it goes into the gay rights, and it goes into the AIDS epidemic. It goes into them eventually. Well, I don't know what to say. There's some great twists in this movie. They get involved in it in ways that are very, very interesting. It gets into freedom of speech, censorship in the 80s with Reagan and all that, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it really, the core of it, other than just being a fascinating story, just the path they've led since the 60s up until now, it's also really fascinating just to see their family dynamic and how they have navigated from having little kids to now full grown-up kids. And in fact, the filmmaker is their daughter. So she's got total access, you know.
That's cool.
Totally entertaining, totally interesting, heartfelt, funny, some amazing things. You just can't. Oh, this is for you, Eric. They are able to, as they're scanning past things and doing things in this bookstore, they show some full hardcore covers of some of the tapes in just glimpses that are not blurred. And I'm like, oh, wow,
Nice.
That got through on Netflix. Okay, well, there you go. I was like, extra half star.
Eric Holmes, are you drinking apple juice? I was just
No,
noticing
it's Modelo. It's inside this nice glass right here.
Oh, it's a beautiful glass. Is that a Gremlins glass?
Yes, my friend Carol Willing painted it for me.
It looks
If you go to Etsy.com and look for Poor Decisions by Carol, Pour Decisions by Carol, you too can get a glass of your own.
Hold it up to the camera, please. I would like to. The modeling. Yeah. That is beautiful, by the way. And by the way, all disclosure, Carol, she was very nice. She made me, I believe, a Raising Cain glass, which is Raising Cain is my favorite Brian De Palma film of all time, which I'm sure you listeners and viewers will probably. Oh, that's so beautiful. Wow, look at the detail.
That etching is beautiful, dude.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
She hand paints them. She hand paints them.
What?
Whoa.
Yep.
Yeah. She did a great job with Raising Cain, and obviously you have the better taste with the Gremlins. But you know what? I think Carol's great because she had to actually spend time putting John Lithgow on a glass. So, and she had to do work on a movie that I'm sure most people don't love. But yeah, Poor Decisions by Carol.
Yeah, I'll put once we post this on the Movie Mainline page, I'll post a link in the comments.
Cool.
Maybe just post a link on the Facebook page in general.
On the feed
Cool.
too.
Sweet.
But yeah, she does real good work. Does it really fast, and you hit her up, tell her what you want. She's like, not a problem, and then just nails it every time.
That is
That's
awesome. By the way, you have an Austin
That's actually
shirt
a perfect
too, Eric.
segue for anybody else out there that actually has something like that. Any type of company, any type of artistic foundation that you want us to mention or bring up as sly as that one was, or just literally a hard stop, and we'll actually talk about it. But it's definitely something that we want to do. We want this to be a freaking community. We're all part of the same group of people that we all love movies. So
yeah, maybe you got like a crowdfunding thing you got going on, or maybe a lot of people are working from home, so maybe you got your little arts and crafts thing, such as this one that Carol Willing did on Poor Decisions by Carol on Etsy.com. Maybe you got something similar to that.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be movie related. Maybe it's just a thing you do and you want us to talk about it. If it's cool, I don't know why we wouldn't talk about it, because cool things are cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the cool thing about it is Eric Holmes is here about, spotlighting other people. Lewis as well, and putting other people on stage. Same with Bruce Purkey. He's a really great part of just anchoring a community. I myself am pretty horrible at that. So they're making sure I muscle myself. I'm not going to self-promote myself here on this thing. This is my little thing, because I every single day, all I do is promote my stuff. And when I'm part of Movie Mainline, my mantra is I just want to put everyone else first before me, because I'm so sick and tired of PRing all the other
spotlight you. You can also hear Greg Srisavasdi, professional nanny, on CinemAddicts.com.
No, that's Lewis. Please cut that out. Please cut that out. You know what? Actually, overlay the ending of. Can you cut that and just put the ending of The Others right over Eric's comments? Speaking of Eric's comments, I'm still scarred by you not loving the ending of The Others, Eric. Can you give us a couple more picks?
Are we doing okay? Let's see. Here's one I had for last week, but I didn't get to it because I had 11 of them. But it kind of fits in with the theme of what I'm doing now.
You're not going to even get to 11, Eric, until the third week of the show.
Yeah. So I got the house with the laughing windows. It's the Galio, whatever you call it.
Giallo.
Thank you, Bruce. Giallo.
Italian yellow. It's yellow. It's yellow.
Yellow.
Giallo?
Giallo.
Well, it's Italian.
Well, the
yellow.
two L's are a Y
Giallo.
sound, right? Is that?
Actually,
Anyway.
when they say it, I think they usually say it Giallo. I think I've watched them do it, and I think it sounds like Giallo. Giallo.
Well, I got a Giallo called The House with the Laughing Windows.
There you go.
This was I forget the director's name, is Pupi Avati or something like that.
You just made that up, didn't you? You just made up that name, Eric?
No.
Pupi Avati? That is it.
I think that's right.
Pupi Avati.
Pupiav something. Anyway, it's like with most giallos. A guy goes to repair a painting. There's a bunch of bullshit on the painting, and he's restoring this painting on this wall in this church. And as he's restoring the painting, slowly things start getting a little bit weird. And as with most giallos, it starts off kind of not great. Almost the exact opposite that I had with the others, where I liked the others and then the ending came and I didn't like it. Giallos usually start off really dry and really boring, and then they start getting kind of creepy, or then they start getting kind of weird. And then
when all the plots come together, that it actually
a lot of giallos have to do with the main character kind of slipping into madness, or weird shit just starts going on. And this is one of those ones where it starts off really boring, but if you hang with it, it'll hit probably about the 20-minute mark. It starts hitting a point where things start getting a little weird, and then it just gets fantastic from there on, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder and more gory and more awesome. And if you like those type of movies, I would recommend The House with the Laughing Windows. You can find that on YouTube. Probably find it on other places too, but I mean, it's YouTube, so just click on that and you're good to go.
Eric, you watch a lot of movies on YouTube, right? There's a lot, the treasure trove of stuff that's available, you think?
Oh yeah. Especially well, that one was last week, but I've been looking for like a bunch of public domain movies. So
Yeah.
obviously those are all on YouTube. There's no sense in picking up Netflix when, you can watch that and then go watch Joe Rogan clips and then, watch old Transformers cartoon or old Transformers things, and then hit up the house with the laughing windows.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
If you like Jollos, if you like I'm guessing a lot of people listening will know the Dario Argento and the
Mario Bava, Lucia Fulci, all those
Yeah.
guys. That's another common thing is they have those really
Umberto
long,
Lenzi.
weird names. So long,
What's
weird names are giallo things too, like the bird with the crystal plumage and
Yeah.
4 flies on gray velvet and
Yeah.
all that weird names like that. So if you see that, don't torture a duckling. All those kind of names are usually indicative of a giallo movie.
Those have great names. I really like the
Crazy names
that they have. Yeah, but they're really good though. Like
Yep.
they could call it Punch or Blood, but then they they got the house with the laughing windows. The what? Well, I gotta see what this is about.
Don't torture a duckling. That's one. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Don't torture a duckling. Okay.
If you see a movie called Don't Torture a Duckling,
You're
come
like,
on, you gotta tell me you're at least a little bit curious on what the fuck that means.
Yeah. You want to close it out with your last pick, Eric?
Okay, last one is another. This one's definitely a public domain movie because it came out in 1924.
Oh, what? You really? Wait, so you saw this recently, a 1924 film?
Yeah, I just watched it the other day, and it's called Hands of Orlac. When I came across it, I thought it was I thought it was called Hands of Orlac, like from Nosferatu. I thought maybe it was like a sequel or something to that. It is not. It's based on the book Le Man de Orlac by Maurice Renard, and it's this pianist guy that plays piano.
Yeah.
He gets in a train accident. The 2 trains collide, and he loses his hands. And then his wife goes run into him, and she goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Yeah, we gotta do some, he's got a skull fracture. We can handle that, but he lost his hands." And she's like, "No, you gotta. His hands are his life. He can't play piano without his hands. That's he can't." And they even have this weird. There's this weird kind of sexual tension. It's like because she reads a note to him as he's on tour with his, concerts. And it's like, "I cannot wait to stroke my hands across your hair and my hands touching your body beneath me," and like that. So I think she's got something a little more in mind. Like they got a healthy sexual relationship. They don't explicitly say that, but his hands are magic is what I get at.
Wow.
And so she wants the doctor to bring his hands back. Well, his hands are hamburger meat, there's nothing you can do about that. But there's a guy that just died that's rolling into the morgue, and it's like, "Well, I'll see what I can do." And he cuts the guy's hands off and puts them on Orlac's hands, and Orlac has new hands. And it takes a while to heal up. And eventually they take the bandages off, and they're like, "How do you feel?" And it's like, well, am I going to be able to play piano again? It's like, maybe, you got to work it out. But what the doctor didn't tell him is the hands were the hands of a murderer.
Wow.
And he finds this out, and now like he'll go try to play the piano, and he can't play piano because he knows he has the hands of a murderer. And he wants to touch his wife, and he wants to get comfort from his wife. "I can't play piano." And his wife's like, "Oh, it's okay, honey. I still love you." She gives him a hug, and he wants to hug her too. But I cannot sully my wife by touching her with the hands of a murderer. So it becomes this what do you call it? In his head, he thinks, "I have these hands of a murderer," and it affects his life.
I thought it was going to go down the idle hands route where the hands are possessed. And
it kind of does, but it's more of it's less supernatural and more his own
psyche.
His own psyche, adding that into it. And then it like the giallo we talked about before, this kind of plays like that a lot, actually, as he goes more and more mad with these hands, and he just wants to get rid of them. And, and then it gets to the end, which I will not reveal. The end gets a little Scooby-Doo ending, but it's a 1924 movie.
Scooby-Doo ending. A Scooby, meaning...
You'll know when you see it.
Oh, boy. Oh, Scooby-Doo.
But,
where are you?
Damn you kids.
It's a silent movie. I mean, obviously it's 1924. It's a silent movie, but there was and I don't have the guy's name, but on YouTube and most versions I can find, they have someone playing music over it, and the music's really good.
Wow,
nice.
In fact, if you hate the movie, play it and just listen to it, because the music is that good. And I wish I knew the guy's name. I did not write it down. But yeah, if you're into old movies, you want to get into some old movies, that would not be a bad one to get into. And in fact, a lot of the sets, like with the okay, so the train wreck at the beginning, they have so you have one train going this way and one train coming this way, right?
Right.
But you move it this way, that's how they make the train wreck, and then they cut it, stop it right there. Well, they don't stop it right there; they stop it like a frame pass. So it's kind of but
pretty cool.
You're not gonna give them too much shit, because this is like the dawn. This is the dawn of film, but it's kind of cool to see how back in the day they were able to how they're playing with the medium, and how they're kind of inventing what we today just take for granted.
Yeah.
On top of that, and kind of what I got in mind, just watching older movies in general, it's how much thought, everything on film is happened.
Yeah.
And so they have to kind of basically play magic tricks, and it's just really inspiring watching older movies like that. And then when some that work as well as that does, it kind of makes me wonder why more people don't make movies today, because we have so much technology today that, like right now, we're making a movie. We have 4 cameras, 4 sound systems, 4 actors. We could be making, and they do all that with like 1 camera and some film and no sound, and that they're able to pull this stuff off. It's really impressive. But yeah, Hands of Orlac.
I think to answer that question is not like I know anything. Like you're an editor, Eric, you know more than me. But I think a lot of people, when you have so many things at your disposal, so much tech, then you're not going to push the form. You get lazy. You look at a YouTube thing and, oh, this is how someone sets up a scene. I'm going to set up the scene exactly like that. Oh, it's important to have coverage. That means I can be an insurance salesman and make sure all my scenes are covered. So I have a big bunch of stuff that my editor will go through, and everything should be fine. So
I think it has more to do with people getting this idea that the idea of movie magic kind of throws people off.
The imagination of creation was lost probably around that digital era where yes, there's a lot more medium, but also at the same time, because like Greg said, you have so much that you could do.
Well, no, I'm talking about the legend of movie magic. It's like, oh, I can never do that, because all I got is look, I got a cell phone. There's a camera on there. There's a really good camera on there, and we all have it, and no one uses it. But it's like, what? They don't use that in the big blockbuster movies. Well, it doesn't fucking matter. All you need to make a movie is a really, You don't even need a really good story. You need the shittiest story you can think of. That's what you need. And you need other people to play the characters in your shitty movie or in your shitty story. And then you record it on your phone, and then you cut it together on your computer that we're talking to on now. I mean, the technology's there. I'm getting way off topic with Hands of Orlac, but just the fact that I'm watching this movie that they did in 1924, scraping by with barely the technology we have today, and they're able to make that awesome movie, and we have everything in our disposal. All we have to do is come together and do it.
Yeah, you know, I think it goes down to that point. It's called what? Hands of Orlac, right?
Yeah.
1924. It stuck with you.
Yeah.
And they didn't have, like
definitely.
you said, they didn't have the resources. And I always go back to this when someone asks me what's one of my favorite movie-going experiences, it's watching the film M, directed by Fritz Lang.
Yes.
And it's a black and white film. Obviously, a lot of people study it because it's German expressionism and everything, but come on. I mean, he did not have, like Hands of Orlac. Fritz Lang didn't have all that stuff. I mean, even if he did, it doesn't compare to the stuff we have today. He just knew how to, you were talking about just get people to act in a movie. You just have to have the right, like Luis said, the right sense of imagination, how to actually frame or one of the things that Scorsese always likes to complain, and I agree with him. He says, one of the things today that people don't know how to do is they don't know how to compose a frame. And it sounds very artsy-fartsy, but maybe like with the film that you really love, you know, Hands of Orlac or M or the Argento films, Bruce, or I mean, even Annie Hall, Luis, they have great DPs.
That scene in the bridge is iconic. Why? Because of the composition of it. Same thing with movies like Metropolis. That opening sequence of Metropolis, it's baffling how they did that back then. You're like, this is pre-digital effects. How
right.
hell did they edit that together and put that together? Because there was nothing. There was no.
Or even like the old Universal stuff. Look at some of that. It's some of those beautiful like photography you'll ever see. You watching like Bride of Frankenstein or some of that stuff. I mean, some of that stuff is just gorgeous, and it's just sets and lighting, you know. But maybe a little bit of matte painting, if they even did that back then. I mean, it's just amazing what they can do, and it's because they, like you said, Greg, they're thinking of each scene as like a painting, you know. So, or like Vertigo, you know, I know you love Vertigo. Same thing. You could take just about any shot in those movies, and that shot is composed like a painting. It's beautiful.
Yep.
And that makes such a difference because it's a visual medium. And if you aren't doing anything interesting visually, you're missing a big, huge chunk.
Well, take the Before trilogy with Ethan Hawke and what's her name, Julie Delpy.
Mm-hmm.
That's just two people talking for three movies straight. It's just two people talking, no sets, no nothing, just two people and a camera guy following them. But they have wrote it out. You know, it's like let's. Okay, I'm sure all three of you, except maybe Greg, because he didn't know anyone.
I really don't. This is the one.
I'm sure even Greg. I'm sure even Greg, just by virtue of the fact that he has family members, knows one guy and one girl. And you all have a camera. You all have a camera in your phone. You follow that guy and girl around. That's a movie. We have 4 people and 4 cameras. We're making a movie right now. I think a lot of the reason with why independent film is kind of blown up anyway, but I think it could blow up a lot more if people realize that everyone has the technology to make the movie. It's probably not going to be Avengers Endgame. It's probably not going to be Star Wars, but any of us 4 could make the Before Sunrise or Before Sunset or Before Midnight. That movie is not that hard to make, but do any of us hate that movie?
No, I love it.
Well, there you go. Fucking make your movie.
And I was talking to Anderson this morning about it, and one of the things that the people who are younger than us, the younger generation, what they have over us, and you guys know because you know people and I don't, they know how to edit. They know how to edit on TikTok. They know how to do stuff on their YouTube channel, on their Instagram. Before that, there was Snapchat. Before that, there was Musical.ly. They know how to create content. So they actually know how to put a story together. That's a great thing within 15, 20 seconds. I think that's a facility that I never had. My generation never had. But there's going to be someone who's
Wow. Because Lloyd Kaufman said there's this wonderful quote with Lloyd Kaufman in Make Your Own Damn Movie, which it is fucking hilarious if you've never seen it. And if you're a Troma fan, that it's glorious seeing Lloyd Kaufman go off on tangents about creating.
Yes, it is.
Literally just grab cameras that he bought at like a pawn shop for $30, put together a bunch of people, grabbed the Goodwill stuff and put it together and said, fuck it, let's film a movie. And that's what he did. And he's a multimillionaire now because of that.
Yeah.
Even back in the 90s, you could do it. Spielberg did it. Spielberg, that's what started his thing, was he just grabbed his father's Super 8 and started filming. Little toy soldiers and, firecrackers, and you have a war scene.
You know, there's going to be some filmmaker, guy or girl, who's 15 or 16, and they're watching Dario Argento films, Woody Allen movies, films you love, Eric, and they're going to just use that aesthetic in today's, and they're just going to blow the lid off everything. Just like Steven Spielberg did years ago. There's going to be a big movement, and then they're going to take all those little editing tools that they're getting from TikTok, and they're just going to, there's something that's going to be really magical in cinema, I think, within the next 5-10 years. It'll be interesting. Now that with everything going on, we're just staying at home, and we don't know what's going on with the studio system. There might be some kind of really interesting revolution that's going to happen. With us not going to the theaters, maybe there might be some real auteurs. I don't even know how old they will. Maybe they'll release something on VOD that will just blow everyone. You're talking about indies blowing up. Maybe there's going to be some indie filmmaker who's just going to kill everybody.
Like you said, look at the phones already. We got movies like Tangerine. We got movies like 28 Days Later, which was shot with $2,000 cameras. I mean, that's a huge blockbuster film. Both of those really made big budget, like they made big money, and they were shot for nothing, close to nothing. Yeah. Clerks too, same thing. It's like those movies were shot for nothing. It's not a matter of money. It's a matter of just putting yourself out there and doing it.
I have my one last pick, even though it's 2 picks. I'm really going economical because this counts as a 1.5 pick, so it's going to be. I'm actually giving you 3 picks. This is the 2 for 1. This movie,
real quick. Oh, but yeah, Hands of Orlac, good movie. Go watch it on YouTube. Okay, go ahead.
You know what? I'm so public domaining all this stuff. I'm writing this down. I'm going to go with the Orlac. How do you spell Orlac? O-R-L-A-C?
It's Orlac. O-R-L-A-C.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Now, the Delicacy. It comes out on May 7th. Okay? Now, the reason why I'm talking about this movie is it really points to what we were talking about, creating your own films, creating cinema. This guy, this interesting guy, his name is Jason Wise, W-I-S-E. He co-wrote and directed The Delicacy. It's a 70-minute documentary based on the history of sea urchins in Santa Barbara, right off the channels of Santa Barbara. And you're thinking, here's the tagline. A group of sea urchin divers deal with the dangers of their job. So you learn about uni. You learn if you love sushi, you're going to love The Delicacy. But it's what really sells this movie is it is an up close and personal look at all these sea urchin divers, and they talk about how the business was booming for a while, and then there's struggles. And there's some really great. I didn't even mention this in the pod. There's some really great underwater photography from Jason Wise, and this is something that us being film geeks, he could have shot this on digital. This is a 70-minute documentary. It's not going to make millions of dollars, right? It's not Inception, right? Or Avengers Endgame. He decided to shoot it on Kodak film, and he said, why not go for it? And I interviewed him, and I only had 15 minutes, and I said, hey, I just got to ask you, why did you not shoot on digital? Because a lot of filmmakers I talk to, and you guys know better than me because you guys are more technical than me, they always talk about how digital can almost come close to the grain of film. And yeah, Luis, you're shaking your head. And so I had 15 minutes. He spent all 15 minutes debunking that whole thing. Thankfully I had some more time with him. But what's interesting about that is whenever someone shoots on film, it says that person has a lot of cojones, a lot of balls to do that, especially in today's market. And we're talking about making this kind of cinematic revolution. Another thing that he's doing with with the Delicacy is he created his own streaming network. It's called SOM TV, SOMM and it's like short for sommelier, right? So it seems like a hoity-toity culinary channel, but he directed like 4 or 5 documentaries, and he's putting them into the streaming channel, and he's just going to pump in new content into the channel, and hopefully he'll get. I'm not sponsored. I just thought this was interesting. Someone is starting up their own streaming channel. He's probably getting other movies. There's a movie called Tortilla Soup with Hector Elizondo. I love Hector Elizondo. I've always wanted to see that movie, and it popped up on that streaming channel. I'm actually going to give it a shot. I was thinking about actually getting a media rate, but I'm going to support. I'm going to give it like 2-3 months to see how the SOM TV works. But it's a culinary channel. But this movie as a standalone is excellent. It's a really it's only 70 minutes too. It's a really actually ultimately a moving look at these sea urchin divers, because a lot of stuff happens to them. So I recommend the Delicacy, and I would recommend looking up SOM TV. That might be a new way, like. There's going to be a certain, there's going to be content creators, filmmakers who will start teaming up, and instead of getting 2 cents to the whatever, 2 cents to the $100 for their Amazon Prime Video streaming service, they might just curate their own content, direct a whole bunch of films, and say like maybe it'll be a step above a Patreon, maybe it'll be a streaming service for $5 or $6, and you get real films that will.
Just ad revenue alone will be good.
Yeah, I mean, so that's my 1.5 pick. The Delicacy comes out on, it says digital and on demand, but it's right now, the other tagline is it's streaming exclusively on SOM TV starting May 7th. So,
sweet.
Bruce, Lewis, you got any more?
I do have one other thing.
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to mention, and I know that you saw me mention this before too, and that is I have finally discovered Satoshi Kon. I don't know if anyone else is familiar with Satoshi Kon's work. He did, I've seen 2 of his films now. The one I just saw this week was Paprika. These are available only to rent right now or to buy DVD. He also did Perfect Blue. And he's done 2 other movies I'm going to have to watch as well. But he's anime. He's dead. He died young. He died around 2010 or 11, I believe. Have any of you seen any of these movies before?
Paprika I saw, yeah.
Paprika, okay, because he is probably one of the most influential filmmakers of the last 20 years that a lot of people don't know about. I mean, Perfect Blue, which I'm not going to talk about in detail, but that was, the rights to that was bought by Aronofsky. He bought the rights just so he could use a shot from Perfect Blue in Requiem for a Dream. Oh. And essentially, Black Swan is a remake of Perfect Blue in a lot of ways. It's essentially a remake. And then Paprika, which he made later, he made in the mid-thousands, I think 2006, is kind of the inspiration for Inception, for Nolan's Inception. And you can see in Inception, there's even some shots that are almost direct takeoff on some things that you see in Paprika. And Lewis is shaking his head like he kind of knows. But Paprika is beautiful, amazing. All of his stuff is the most amazing animation, and it's different than if you're used to all the stuff like all the Studio Ghibli stuff. It's a little different than that. It's much more heady and like trippy. All his movies go into like alternate versions of realities for his characters.
It's very
this one's all about.
If you like the Ralph movies from the 70s, like Wizard and Lord of the Rings, the one from the animated movie. In the look, but not so much in what it does. But he does some things in there that are just insane. And the basic concept of this one, I'm not going to go on all of it, because this is pretty mind-bending, but the basic idea is that there's this device that allows people to view other people's dreams. But the problem is, it also allows you to combine all these people's dreams into someone else's head. And this is causing this kind of weird rift in reality. And the other thing that's really great about this movie is that Satoshi Kon loves movies. He loves movies. So there are tons of references in Paprika to other great movies. Yeah. There's multiple Kubrick references. Yes. There's references to really awesome, like, classic, like, golden age cinema stuff. And it's just
layer after layer of stuff in these movies, and it's just gorgeous. I would just say, if nothing else, just go look up a couple shots from Paprika. It's not going to give you the story, but it's amazing, really, really beautiful. And I want to see. He has one called Tokyo Godfathers I've not seen. I think that's one I want to check out. And he's got another one called Millennium Actress. Those are the other two main films he's got that I want to check out.
Tokyo Godfathers is actually really good. My cousin recommended it, that he's a huge anime person, and I was like, holy crap, this is good. So yeah,
I would advise anything by Satoshi Kon that he's directed. He's only directed like 4 or 5 like feature movies. I would try to get a look at them. They are quite amazing, and I'm not an anime guy at all, but these are just great movies.
So I had one more 10-second pick. This is talking about being crossover stuff. The Barkley Marathons, the race that eats its young. We talked about it in episode 0. Bruce recommended the Barkley Marathons, the race that eats its young, and I saw it. I loved every single moment. It's streaming on Amazon Prime Video. I'm going to be selfish. I love everyone's picks, but out of all my picks, I would just double up on what Bruce and Lewis is saying. Have you seen the Barkley Marathons yet, Eric? Not yet, right?
No, but I got another one when you're done. Okay. Since we're doing mainline rewinds right now.
Mainline rewind. Yeah, this is a definite mainline rewind. If anyone sees this, I'm being morbid right now. If I expire in 2 seconds, the Barkley Marathons, the race that eats its young, it moves you. It's very moving. It's an eccentric look at all these long distance runners, and they're trying to complete 100-mile race, and it's up in the Tennessee hills, right, Bruce, around that area. It is intense. There is not one moment of this. It's the star is Lazarus Lake, the creator. This guy is so eccentric. He's the creator of the Barkley Marathons. And even if you don't like to run, I'm a bloated human being. I like to run once every 5 years, but it inspired me to run. And you see how much pain these people go through, and you actually really, by the end, you go, you know what? You guys really aren't that crazy. You just want to live your life. There's one moment, I'm not going to tell you which runner said what, but he or she was saying that her father wanted to retire. Okay, he was saving up. The father was saving up all this money, and a year before his retirement, he died. So that runner decided to say, life is short. You might as well go for it. This is one of those movies that tells you to really go for it without telling you to go for it. And I loved every single minute of the Barkley Marathons. I looked at their Facebook pages. I think they have like almost 50,000 likes on their Facebook. I wish they had more. I hope this movie gets even a bigger audience. I hope it streams on Amazon Prime Video forever, that people can continue to keep watching the Barkley Marathons.
It was on Netflix for a very long time. So yeah, it was. That's where I originally saw it way back when.
5 out of 5 for me. Rewind Eric Holmes.
Yeah, I have a bone to pick with Lewis.
Which one?
I saw Fern Gully since I talked to you last.
Come on, you didn't like it?
It was pretty good. It definitely had that Don Bluth feel. There was even a little bit of Ralph Bakshi kind of snuck in there once in a while. In that Tim Curry, that goop monster when they.
So cool,
dude. You're right. I was missing out on Fergal. It's not perfect. There's some there's some Disney cheese in there for sure. And there's some bits in there where I'm like, but overall, if you want to find some bad stuff in there, you're definitely gonna point it out. Yeah. But there's a lot of great stuff in Ferngully that I was not expecting, and
I'm so happy.
Glad I saw it. Glad I saw it.
That was such a Lewis, you look worried for a second.
Are you serious?
Okay. So
real quick though, with the just with Ferngully and the whole Avatar thing, I see where people are saying Avatar is Ferngully with blue people, even though in Ferngully when they fly they turn blue. But I think Ferngully has they're going for a different thing than Avatar. There's definitely some there's definitely some similarities between the two, but I don't know that calling Avatar, reducing it to Ferngully with, blue cats it seems a bit reductive to me. I see where, after watching it, I see where people get that, but anyway.
I mean, the concept is the same, but it's completely different. So, Greg, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, definitely. Anything you guys want to say before we leave? Lewis?
Yeah.
Bruce?
Yes. Remind everybody out there, it still should be a few days left when this goes up, that South by Southwest has a whole bunch of stuff for free on Amazon Prime until May 6th. They have 5 or 6 features and about 15 or 20 shorts. All of them are introduced either by the filmmaker or by somebody involved with South by Southwest. Because it got canceled, they're putting it up for free. Go to Amazon Prime and just put in South by Southwest Film Collection, and you should pop up and see a whole bunch of stuff.
Lewis?
If you want to check out any of the Man Bites Film stuff, just go on to manbitesfilm.com. Check us all out on there.
And Eric Holmes, Fiddlesticks, what's going on with that?
I would say anyone listening to this, if you're tired of listening to the four of us, hey, maybe you want to come on. One of us can dip out for a week, and we'll listen to what you have to say. So hit up Lewis, or just hit us up on the old Facebook page there, and because we want to get some of you guys involved. Anyone listening to this, maybe you're not a big movie person. I've seen 3 movies in the last 2 years. Maybe you want to come on and tell us about those 3 movies you saw in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
that was pretty much it.
Yeah, you know what? One of those 3 movies could be The Beastmaster. I've always wanted to see The Beastmaster. I've never seen The Beastmaster.
It's so good.
Or Time Rider.
I've
never seen Time Rider. I've never seen Buckaroo Banzai.
Sure.
I'm having a spastic attack right now. I've never seen Buckaroo Banzai either.
Buckaroo Banzai, sure.
Yeah. I haven't seen most of Fred Ward's films. So if those 3 films,
Ward.
Bruce, what are you saying?
Oh, Fred Ward. What was that movie he made where it was like part 1? He made a movie where it was supposed to be like
Don't make me,
part
you're making
6?
me depressed. You're making me depressed,
No.
Bruce.
No.
Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins.
Remo Williams, The Adventure Began. And it ended.
It ended.
It ended there too. Yeah.
Can we sign a petition? We haven't seen the movie yet, but can we have another Remo Williams? The Adventure Continues. I'm now mad about that. I remember I really wanted to see Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, but
I would like to see that. Oh wait, no, that's Remo. Never.
I think the Adventures of Remo Williams continued on Fiddlesticks. I think over there.
We'll bring that up on Fiddlesticks.
Well, okay, that's it. That's episode 1. We're wrapped up. Again, my last plug, guys, is, we're here. This sounds horrible, but I think all 4 of us, we're here because we like each other. We like talking about films. We're buddies, and we're becoming even better friends just by this whole movie thing. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is we want to hear from you guys. Give us some movie recommendations, and this is really, we want to grow this community in Movie Mainline, and we want to bring you value-added stuff, but selfishly, I think on our end, we would love to hear what movies you guys like, and if you don't like any of our picks too, we would love to hear that as well. Because, and you know what, I there's someone out there who's seen Remo Williams and Beastmaster, and I want that.
I've seen Beastmaster.
Well, I'm sorry.
I've seen Beastmaster.
Have you seen Beastmaster too? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yes. The Eye of Braxis or whatever. Something Braxis. Yes. Not good. The first one's awesome.
Okay. Well, these 3 people, I know they've seen those, but there's someone else out there. But anyways, that's it. We're signing off. Lewis is pointing to something.
I'm pointing at you.
Oh, you're pointing at me? Okay. You know what? Next week, folks, we will have a really proper sign off. I apologize for being a horrible moderator. On behalf of Luis Lacau, Bruce Purkey, Eric Holmes, and Mr. Nobody, we will see you on Movie Mainline next week.